Hello students, welcome to the class. In this video, we'll be actually looking at interview skills, which is part of a soft skills component in Unit 3 of Semester 4 syllabus. But this is only part 1 of the whole video. And in this video, we'll be looking at what do employers look for a candidate? What are the different types of interviews? What are the criteria that they actually use to select a candidate? What are the questions that are asked in an interview? Right? So this is part 1 and we'll be looking at these aspects in this video. Now, we all know that interview is a process where a candidate is questioned by one or more of the employers with a view that to see if he is suitable for the job he has applied for. Now, what are employers looking for when they look at a candidate? They're looking at the ability, attitude, and the personality of the candidate. Can you do the job? Will you do the job? Will you fit in the job? So these three questions will always determine the success or the selection of a candidate for a particular job. Now, one of the first things that we all need to take care is we need to know the interview. In this video, we'll be looking at knowing the video and also knowing the questions that are asked in the video and also looking at our skill set which we can project in an interview. Okay, now interviews can be of many types. Sometimes we can have an interview over phone. This could be for pre-screening of the candidates. Now there are generally resume-based interviews where you send a resume and based on your resumes, you're called for an interview. That's the traditional method. And there are other interview methods like behavioral interviews where a particular candidate is tested through a different process and looked at his personality so that to view and find out if he is suitable for the job. And sometimes we can also have interviews where more than one person interviews the candidate. It could be called as a group or a panel interview. Right. So what are the criteria that generally the employers use to select candidates? One of the criteria is the application, the letter that we write in order to get an interview. Then the resume. So resume is an important area or criteria used to actually shortlist the candidates. Now, and if you are recommended by someone else, that can be handy. And sometimes if you have already established a connection through networking, that is also one of the criteria which is used by the employers. Another thing that is actually tested during the interview process is the attitude of the candidate. Then his communication skills, which can be written like the resume, his verbal and as well as non-verbal skills. Then the emotional intelligence of the candidates, or you can call the initiative of the candidate, the self-esteem, and even his passion to excel in the field he has chosen. All these are some criteria which are tested to select a candidate for a job. Now, the next step would be that after we understand that these are the main criteria by which we are selected, we also need to prepare for the questions. Now, in a traditional resume-based interviews, the questions that are generally asked are like, tell me about yourself. What do you know about our organization? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are your career goals? If it's a behavioral pattern interview, then they would be asking you to tell about a time when you solved a problem or to describe a situation where you were able to successfully do multiple priorities at the same time, where your behavioral patterns will be coming up while you share. Now, there can be some tricky interview questions. For example, tell me about yourself, or why did you leave your previous job? Right. So when we are asked, like, tell me about yourself, the interviewee is looking for how we will benefit their company. So it is very essential that we keep our answers simple, short, and we elaborate on experiences and goals relating to that applied position. We can also summarize our resume and talk about transitions in the employment. Right. So let's look at one particular question that is usually asked during the interview. Tell me about yourself. It's one of the most often asked questions in interviews. We can tell about our academic record, our skills, qualifications. We can also talk about things that we have done and jobs we have actually done that relate to this particular position. We need to prepare written answers for this question and actually rehearse them before we attend the interview. And we need to put our answers like in 3 minutes of time and not more than that. Right. So generally when you are asked to tell about ourselves, it's called as an elevator speech. And what should we actually include when we are describing ourselves before the interview? We can include the four W's: who you are as a person, what field you are in, what sort of job you like, what makes you different from others, your capabilities which actually suit to this job, and what benefits you offer to others. If you join this company, what is the additional thing that you can bring in? Right. So it's also one of the important aspects that students or candidates, prospective candidates, should always identify their own skills and also think about an experience where they have actually demonstrated these skills. Now, this is a skills map. Now, this is a skills map where the major skills that all employers will be looking after is put in one place. So you can go through this list. For example, here we have the organization skills related to organizing and planning, skills related to teamwork, skills related to communicating, skills related to problem solving. We can just take one area. For example, if I say communicating, now there are sub skills like writing, speaking. And now, if you go for writing and speaking, there are also even more sub skills like editing, summarizing, reporting, or telephone skills, or presentation skills, or even foreign languages. Now, if I have any of those sub skills too, then that means I have those skills related to writing and speaking, which actually come under the bigger uh, map of communication skills. So I need to identify which skills I have. And during an elevator speech, when I'm saying when they ask me, tell me about yourself, I should be able to project these skills. So it's homework is essential before we actually answer questions like, tell me about yourself. Right. In this video, we only looked at the basics of interview, and primarily we looked at what the interviewer wants in a candidate, what are the criteria they use to select a candidate, and then we have looked into what are the different types of interviews, and then what are the questions that are asked in an interview. In an upcoming video, we'll actually look into how to prepare for the interview day. Thank you for watching the video. Please watch the next video. Have a good day.